Hi, everyone. Thank you for those of you who decided to stay here for this session. So I'm going to talk to you about AI, but of course there will be a session this afternoon going deeper into some of the products I'm going to introduce or the themes I'm going to introduce. And by the way, Jordi was here, already talked briefly about it. It was a wonderful session. Thank you so much. So I'm going to start by telling you about the Elsevier AI principles, which are very, very dear to me. Then I'm going to talk about the history of AI at Elsevier, talking to you about extractive AI, but I'm sure you're here because you want to hear about Gen AI, generative AI, so I'm going to talk about that as well. Before I go into the agenda, let me introduce myself, if I may. I've been with Elsevier for 13 years, so I'm currently the managing director for a segment team which we call the Academic Leaders and Founders team. And prior to that, I was the Chief Product Officer at Elsevier for 10 years. That the name of my team doesn't probably mean anything to you. So it's actually three parts to it. So it's what we call our analytics products. So it's Scopus, Sava, and Engineering Village. The teams working on those products are reporting to me. And then, of course, Theo in the team, which, as you just heard from Theo, means Pure, of course, Interfolio, and ResearchFish are also part of my team. And then the third team is one which answers to ad hoc requests from government institutions and funders on custom reports they need from us. And we deliver them insights, not in the form of applications, but in the form of, again, reports that our consulting team is delivering to them. So without further ado, let me introduce to you the Elsevier AI principles. We have 5 of them. The first one is that we consider the real life impact of the products that we launch. And let me give you an example. I'm going to use that example throughout the presentation because it's an important one, which is a product that I built personally, so it's very dear to my heart. It's a product that enables, which recommends reviewers to invite to editors. So as you know, we have a very large platform called Soundtrack, which is displaying the full text for our 2,500 journals. But what few people, of course, know is that there is an editorial platform, upstream from Soundtrack. And on that platform, this is where authors submit their manuscripts, and this is where the editorial curation happens. This is where editors assign those manuscripts to peer reviewers, and peer reviewers submit their review reports, and so on and so on. So one of the main challenges for editors is to find reviewers, to invite and review the manuscripts for them. And at some point, our editors are running out of people to invite in their network. So we've built a tool which is powered by AI, which recommends people's profiles to invite to review for us. So I built that product with some data scientists on the team. And at some point, one of the senior data scientists came to me and said, Olivier, the product that you've built as a prompt, it biases against female researchers. And so the process is, by the way, the process of research is biased against women. We all know that. But of course, my recommender tool was actually amplifying that bias. So she came to me, and of course, because I was the chief product officer at the time, I had to recuse myself from that discussion and invited that person, the whistleblower, to talk directly to the CEO of Elsevier. So they had a chat, and the CEO of Elsevier decided to bring together an inclusion and diversity board of external people and bring that problem to them for guidance. I'm not going to go into the detail, but I'm trying to illustrate to you what it means for us. It's very, very important that we consider the real impact of what we are doing. We take action to prevent the creation of and reinforcement of unfair biases. This is an example of what happened. And by the way, the long story short is that the board decided, the external IND board decided to keep, for us to advise us to keep the recommender in production, as in, and by the way, to give you a sense of the size of that tool allows for about 60,000 reviewer invites to be sent every week. So that gives you a sense of how large this tool is. With, of course, a number of caveats. So we are asked by the board to send warning signals and make our editors aware of the bias and the amplification of this bias. We explain our solution work, and I'm going to tell you, GenAI is a problem for us because, of course, some of the LLMs are black boxes to us. Jordi talked about it again in his presentation this morning. And so it's raising the bar. It's raising the bar for us. The next one is we create accountability through human oversight. There's always a human in the loop in all our solutions. And that's something you're going to see in my presentation. And we respect privacy and robust data governance. If you are here, it's because you believe in this, right? The pure data are your data, not ours. There's nothing we do with your data. There was a question this morning, and it's very clear. We don't touch your data unless you, again, give us permission, but we don't ask permission, so we don't actually use your data. So one of my core principles as in my tenure as the chief product officer at Elsevier was to anchor everything we do in real user needs. So we hear the pain points from you and we react to them. We never wake up in the morning thinking, oh, it would be great to solve for that problem. We don't do that. We always wait for people to come to us and say, we have this need, please help us. It doesn't mean that we solve all your problems. I wish we could, but that's not the case. But we only work on problems and we are trying to put ourselves in your shoes. That's what this picture is supposed to mean. So let me give you an example of extractive AI. So this is what we have been doing for many, many years, 20 years or more even. It predates me, of course. So this is an example that you would be very familiar with. So extracting funding information from full text articles. So two examples here. In this funding text here, you have a mention of the NSF of the United States. Our algorithm recognizes this and brings it up as a funding sponsor for this particular article. In the second example, not only do we extract the funding body name, but we also extract here the actually grant award number. Of course, it raises a question because the grant award that we extract here is the one that is reported in actually the full text article, and it's usually the one that the researchers, the co-authors of that article are aware of. And as you know, of course, institutions, when they're going to receive that award, are going to give that award a different ID, which creates all the issue that you are trying to solve for in your day-to-day. So this is a snapshot of our tech approach to extractive AI. So of course, here you have some examples of data sets on the left-hand side. You have all the entity extraction, normalization, and annotation that we are doing as part of what we have built over the years, which we call the research data platform. So we have a single content fabrication process across all the products that I'm in charge of. It's called the research data platform. And then, of course, this is from there that we do the entity matching and linking, and then we have the classification, which ends up with what we call our knowledge graph. I'm going to use that term a lot. I don't know if you're familiar with it. We sometimes talk about it as pure data, but of course your data are not just data. It's disambiguated data, curated data, and linked data. So that's what we call a knowledge graph. And of course, all those data make it into some of our products. So of course, Theo mentioned, some of our data are fed, Scopus data, for example, are fed into your pure instances. But of course, it could be also Crossref data, it could be OpenAlex data, and so on and so on. So because it's not on. So the big revolution coming up is Gen AI, right? Generative AI. So all of you are very familiar with it. I'm sure all of you use Gen AI in your day-to-day, as I do. I'm incredibly excited about it, having worked in data science for many years. I mean, this is a revolution, really. I'm so glad it's happening in my lifetime. So by the way, so the capabilities are well known to us. So the ability to generate well-structured and coherent text is just unbelievable. As you know, the quote-unquote knowledge, body of knowledge that the GenAI is generating is coming from pretty much everything the LLMs could put their hands on. The latest version was making use of about 540 billion web pages. The next one is going to be 10 times as much, which, by the way, raises a number of questions because more and more of the content that the LLMs are going to be ingesting are LLM-produced content. So that's going to raise a number of issues about the quality of the content. There's a very famous research paper on that problem, which is called enshittification. So it's LLMs consuming not so great content and producing not so great content. So we're going to see the outcome of that. The limitations are well known. This is what we call hallucinations, right? So let me give you a personal example. I'm passionate about design, and I was asking one of the top LLMs, one of the top 5, a question about a particular designer, and I was asking the LLM who is the expert about this particular designer, furniture designer. And the expert happens to be a friend of mine. So I was starting to ask the LLM questions about my friend, the expert of that furniture designer. And I found out through the LLM that my friend was dead. So I was like, ooh, that's not good news. So I called my friend, said, are you still alive? And my friend said, yes, I am alive. So it was a relief for me, of course. But that tells you, and when I was asking questions, I was probing the LLM to tell me where that information came from. And the LLM was completely 100% confident that my friend had died. So it's very, very scary. So you can imagine what it does to information and truth. And so that's very, very, very scary. There's another point about LLMs, which LLMs are not good at novel things, right? Not good. Science is not about truth, right? Science is a frontier, right? I am a researcher myself. I've been a researcher for 30 years in information retrieval. I've published many papers. And the way I think of research is a frontier. In my domain, in my community, the frontier moves up, down. Some people believe they have been making progress and contributing to the frontier moving forward, but then the frontier moves backwards because somebody is saying, well, you thought it was progress, but it's not, right? So the problem is that what's happening at the frontier of science is very thin. There are very few papers pushing this frontier. And LLMs, in most cases, do not have access to the frontier, and they make things up. So LLMs are not going to be as powerful for what we support as in research. So for that, to manage hallucinations, we have put together a series of key principles, and they are very much consistent with the Elsevier principles that I mentioned earlier. Let me give you some examples of what we are doing with GenAI within Elsevier at this point. So we have one product in the market already called Scopus AI. So how many of you have heard of Scopus AI? Okay, cool. So many of you. So I'm going to go very quickly. So the use case for Scopus AI are people are not very familiar with the domain of research. They want to familiarize themselves. So it's not yet for expert in a particular domain for the reasons I mentioned earlier. So it's really to gain a general understanding of a particular topic. So you enter a query into Scopus AI, and you're going to get a summary result. And for those of you, many of you are very technical, so I'm going to give you how it works in the background in a few sentences. So the way it works is that the query is parsed using LLMs and rewritten in a way that improves the quality and the chances of us getting the right summary in front of the users. But most importantly, what it does is that it using a RAG infrastructure, we fire that query against the pure corpus, only pure corpus and only research articles, no preprints. As you know, preprints are in pure, in Scopus and sometimes in pure as well. We only use research journal articles vetted by editors and vetted by Scopus, two-step verifications, right? And we take the abstracts and we have vectorized all the abstracts on Scopus, and that query is sent again the vector of all the Scopus abstracts, 85 million of them, retrieves the top 10 abstracts through the vector search engine, and we take the first 10, send them for summarization using a traditional LLM. So now I'm not going to go into too much details, but we are building what we call now a modular RAG infrastructure that makes several lists, not just one. But the key notion is that we take the top 10 abstracts, Scopus abstracts, and ask the LM for summarization. And then there are humans in the loop. Of course, we have human evaluation, looking at the summaries and bringing feedback into the loop. And we're asking users as well to rate the summaries and give us feedback. So humans in the loop, again, everywhere. So that's Scopus AI. Impact AI is a new one. How many of you know of Impact AI? Well, much less. Okay, so Impact AI is a new tool. There will be a demo from Sean Newell. I don't know if Sean is here. Probably, yeah, Sean is here. Hi, Sean. Sean is going to be demoing and showing us together with an early adopter of Impact AI of what it does. So pretty much what it does, it automates impact narratives for you. So it takes as input a number of research articles, and is going to analyze the research articles against a series of parameters that you see here: transferability, applicability, reach, academic significance, and so on and so on. So the analytics layer is going to extract information from that research article and maps that research articles against those parameters. And on top of that, for each of those parameters, Impact AI is going to build an impact narrative for you. So it's a draft. I'm sure many of you are involved in impact narratives. And it's not going to replace the heavy work, but it's going to provide you with a first draft of that impact narrative. Time for a poll. Sorry, I'm going to ask for your contribution now. So if you could take your phone, and we're going to take a quick poll. I think this is the moment where you're taking over, team. Yes? It's via the app. Exactly right. So you go into the app, and you answer this first question, please. How important is it, scale of 1 to 5, to use generative AI to discover insights from your pure data? So again, think about it. Should we have a Gen AI-powered tool to use for you to use on your pure data? And I'm sure you're going to get the question, are we going to be contributing the data back to us? No, it stays with you. We're not bringing your data, your insights back into some kind of an Elsevier research data platform. It stays with you. It's with you and only with you. Four is winning, and 4 is yes. So super interesting. So most of you are in agreement that we should be building this Gen AI layer to allow to get you even more from your pure data. So good news. We are doing that already, and I invite you to again to attend Sean's session this afternoon, because this could give you a preview of how this could look like. Next question, how important is it to use Gen AI to get data into the pure data system with less work? So we all understand that getting all the data into Pure for you with the right level of precision and recall to allow you to support the use cases that you have to support is hard work. It's a lot of work. Should we try to use Gen AI to enable you to do that more seamlessly? You think there's a chance that it could work? And should we do it? Yes. This is what I was expecting. Yes, absolutely. And again, this is something that we are working very, very hard on. Next one, if I can. 3, how important it is to use Gen AI to ask the reporting module. We had questions on the reporting module. a question and get a GenAI reported answer. So again, it's GenAI specifically on the reporting module. Should we use that? Yes, as well. No on this one. No, as in no one on this one. Really interesting. Last one. Poll number 4. Sorry, that's me saying thank you. Poll number 4. How important is it to use GenAI to draft an impact narrative? So in other words, this is a poll for Sean. Should Sean continue to do what he's doing or not? Well, Sean is shaking now. I see him in the background. Whew. Sean, you're good, man. Whew. There will be people in your session this afternoon. Good news. Yeah. You're not going to be on your own, talking to yourself. Well, I will attend, so at least you have one attendee. Cool. Thank you so much. So, time for question? Yeah, we have a minute. A minute? Wow, wonderful.
We have a minute.
1 minute. One question, maybe.
1 minute, one question. Chris, you get it.
Hi, Chris from Lancaster University. Question is just, one of the questions about using AI to get the data into Pure. How do you envisage us interacting with their academics to tell them how it's going to do that? Because they're the ones that have to enter the information in Pure at the moment. How can we take that workload off them?
Well, that's a wonderful question. So I would say the part that is complex about your question is that there are several dimensions at play here, right? If I give you my perspective on what's going on here, so what we are trying to do is to create a digital view of the entities that you care about that is as precise and comprehensive as possible. And in some cases, you're going to need 100% recall and precision. As in, if I think about Interfolio, for example, which is, as Theo was saying, a slightly adjacent use case from the one that you support today, right? But if you are deciding whether you need to promote someone or not, you need to be really sure that the information that you have about that person are correct. Because otherwise that person is going to be really, really cross with you. So now the question is, could we limit, as Theo was saying, the amount of administrative burden that we're going to ask that person to enter that comprehensive and correct and view of her work? And the question about GenAI, as we just discussed, is that it does a few things very well, but it also hallucinates a lot, right? So the danger, of course, is that we ask GenAI to do a lot of things, and GenAI does it poorly, and we create even more work for the person having to build this comprehensive view of herself. And so I think it's going to be a balance, finding the tasks that GenAI will be good at and will require lower supervision from the end user, and the ones that GenAI, frankly, is not going to really help and augment the administrative burden for the researchers, in what case we don't want to go anywhere near to them. So I guess it's going to depend. Sorry for that stupid answer, but there will be cases where we will find GenAI is good at this, cases where, and we're going to need your advice, because at the end of the day, you are the experts. So we're going to rely on your expertise to do that.